And then he'd be like, yo, this is what we're doing. And then that would happen. You know what I'm saying? While he's dancing with his babe. So it's like he has no platform because he's who he says he is. Guys, one moment. We're trying to set up our existence. We're going to have to use an overset because this is what we're trying to do. We build the platform while we're telling you. So now we're sitting right here. And you guys love the backlay and the backdrop. But I've, implemented an actuality. Here we go. Let's try this. To what you guys would be doing while I'm doing this. So it's not like you're ever going to know that it's an issue. So I'm talking to my bro G1 or G1 back here. And if you want to talk to me, watch me change the voice. So we've been kind of in this type of building state for personalities and an ongoing pressurized inclusion. We've had hot hits on personality, but as you know, Silver 7, it's going to be an actual reality that exists. We're not getting to go out to those high fancy in places. We don't get to go to tours of like great androgynous. I'm going around to like worsening in existence of what people left behind. And that's like an Armageddon type of reference, which we've read the book. These guys are getting led around with like sound frequencies, and we're having to have our mentality activated to reincorporate what someone's saying and what their meaning of their environment would be. If you're a pop star and a hot hit on this marketing advancement, we're not going to be able to do this full staging of, hey, everyone come out, y'all bought tickets, y'all have the gas inflow, y'all have the time, the essence, and personality to make it all the way to the staging, and then see the hittings happening for that type of performance that's only a couple hours long, and then the same backload. So the money flow was getting exactly an issue for having that appearance of personality to a creative artistic output. So guys going on stage, girls going to perform, giving a concert, they're getting paid, 30, 40, 50,000, 100,000, 2 million, things like that. And it's like, well, that's just because we all showed up and we're trying to hear our song, and then we have to wait, 45 minutes in the bathroom line to where our song don't even come on. And then they tried this radio thing, and it's like, okay, well, I just called in to hear, like, I Love Lucy on there, and they can't even put a freaking movie scene showing on the sounding to hear that Andy Griffith's type of backlay from a whistling. And it's like, okay, well, Andy Griffith's still whistling, and we can't hear an I Love Lucy, but you are jamming out to some over-insinuated recouplet that we've had going. You're not getting personalized as a human. And that was the exact androgynous that we had in this issue. The pop stars should be able to come around to an address. You drop a pin and pop it like Sonya did, and it's like, okay, well, this guy lives here, so like 2 rapper artists and a vocalist from a gospel should walk in and be able to just have a normal conversation. But they had like all these programmings, which is what the Tupac thing had brought out with the hologram. And it's like, okay, well, if I have Bill Zarian over here, and I have my pressurized gun on my right arm set with like the backload cannon, and the gun's out in full regularity, but the hosing's there with just the air pressure around me, I'm going to know not to hit my neighbor from a 42-foot shot, and I can dead center hit a good ping on it. And those are like the activities we're trying to get going. Is like, we're trying to show that there's a full set of like, if Bieber wanted to come by while we're doing this, we'd have like the grouping, the chicks, the nice food setup going, and be able to hang out with his group with like none of this personality fear thing, because we saw they had to portray, and it portrayed that like there were artists out there going through like a dead shamble of personalities, existences, emotions. And it's like, because all of you people stopped knowing how to connect. Y'all would come to a concert and not collect the correct data and would just be blah blah blah, like in a lunchroom when the shit gets pantsed. So it's clinical like that. And if I set up the field play, and it's like, he's got the paintball set up, and he's blowing it up with the air struts, like we're talking about the inlay of an overwall accent set. And we're actually having to have these full type of inclusions of exact details from whenever, we had, settings and meetings even after class was going on through college, 17 years of this class ordinance of information and inclusion, and then we got no friends around. And yet we set up this overlay of inclusion to where we can go to our own classes, renting out hotel meeting rooms, renting out, different types of spots to be able to still be sitting in class and listen to one professor of a same age grouping. And then we all get called out for like some multi this and multi that. And it's like, yeah, it's a multiple freaking inclusion when you send someone to 8 different classes every day and your girlfriend that comes over doesn't freaking care to talk about it and have like that rotational type of inclusion. And she just wants to run off and do nothing and just throw herself in a ditch and just say that she's going to, have different ways for different guys to pay for it, which we've all went through this. This is why this human and this guy is doing this, to say like, okay, we're doing it again. And we're seeing that hologram comes up. My back office is going to say, okay, command center, you've got now a full play dragon coming in from a top 42% drop in based on your obtuse of a 16% increase of his type of underlay with your design of being a human that's 5'9", 5'10", 5'8", 5'11", because you're going to have that, muzzle link that's there, and your pressure eye is going to go. With the ammunition pop, it's going to be on your targeting for practicing, but it's an air inclusion of where it's going to have no distortion based on that reality of a human being as a target with the hologram set up, so you can walk around the edge room and a freaking dragon appear out where it's not platonic of like a fake false gaming graphic. It's like you're gonna see the freaking dragon coming down, and you're either gonna have him as like an allied dragon that's gonna end up with your time warping last lunatic impulse based on your snake blue ranger to the power of its existence, from the blue Power Ranger to Silver Seven's backdrop tapping. You get a double tap on the guy and he's a hologram, or like you get a double tap in a pressure point on an inlay throughout the trachea and his artery busts out and sprays over the freaking hologram in like a metaphor. You're going to have just a wind pressure that airs it out, and you're not going to get a distortion based on something like that. So your gun's going to be able to automate itself to like, hey, he's at a 32 pressure PSI when I come around, based on the voice phoneticals and that type of sounding audrotity. And, that'd be entertaining for someone like Dan Bilzerian, instead of setting him on his cheek based on what you guys think of reality is on some leftover inclusion from behind. And that's just a Heinz count for what we're trying to talk about, that we're seeing an insight. And you're so worried about like, oh, is this female this age? And it's like, well, you know what? If that female's, 15 years old and you're mad that I'm chitting, I'm just going to underlay my freaking scruple of air pressure over to a 15-year-old with the same dimensions on my hologram and my freaking field set. I'm going to walk over and pop her with the freaking, 47 to 77 type of inclusion of air pressure, so she stays away from the freaking Cheeto bag for 5 minutes. So I'm going to put her in timeout and ground her because y'all won't let her have a full reality in some type of existence. So we're just going to make holograms and fake things. That's just how the number systems work, and how you guys need to have like a true tour. So go back through your albums and be like, oh, I was supposed to go over to freaking France and see Justin Bieber's castle that he bought for no reason, apparently. We'll just associate it like the backlay of sending someone around these, war and horror stories that are included of like a prison system or something. It's like, okay, so you just shut Bieber down just because you want this guy who's a fan to think about a prison. So things like that. Yeah, a G1 to G1. Good job, guys.